We're live.
Hey, hi. I was just trying to promote it and I don't have the link. So
I just tweeted it out.
me and Adam are broadcasting live.
Yeah,
Sent.
live right now.
Hey, how are you? So kind of tough loss there for the Vikings.
Yeah,
A little bit.
yeah. We just talked about. We said it how it was expected. The Patriots are like 99-1 in December since Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, came to town.
Yep,
So it can't be that much of a surprise. I think the Vikings had their chances
they
to,
did.
pull ahead. They just couldn't capitalize. They didn't want to, run the ball. I think that they only ran it 13 times, even though they averaged over 7 yards a carry.
Did you hear
Uh,
Zimmer after the game?
yeah, he wasn't very happy. I'm not surprised because
No,
that's been the story for most of the year, and that the lack of balance has resulted in them losing games. And when they have a balanced offense, they win games. I think you can attribute some of it to being down by a touchdown or two at the end of the game,
yeah.
but at the same time, um, you got to run the ball more than 13 times.
I can't argue with any of that. The play calling, it's so hard to get like frustrated and picky about play calling, but man, is it like leaving something to be desired here? Like there's not enough runs. The screens are either take too long to develop or are not developing at all. Like I just am like so unimpressed with DiFilippo. I feel like we've been talking about it for weeks, but that it's just they can't move the ball. It's
But
so stagnant. It's
he's
crazy.
a he's a big time head coaching candidate. In everyone's
I
eyes.
mean,
Troy can talk about it during the game. He's been rumored for the Browns job, other jobs, the Jets job, whenever that comes free. Maybe the Packers now. If he went to the Packers, I'd be fine with that.
I would also be fine with that. God, could you imagine how great that would be? Yeah, man. I don't know. It's just for a team that has this much talent on offense with Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray and how well we've seen them be able to move the ball sometimes for it to be that stagnant at times too, is just so mind boggling. It's so frustrating.
And you can't
So
even
like I
blame.
get people being frustrated, but like I can't understand the idea that like a loss in New England in December is the end of the world. Like I just sent a tweet out. Like I understand the frustration, I do, but to think that this was the final, you know, it just this was not the end of the season,
A
like
loss,
by any
yeah,
stretch.
a loss next week is a much bigger deal than losing to
Yes.
a team that's not even in your conference.
And we did
Um,
get lucky this week because like the Bears
yeah,
lost and the Panthers lost as well, I believe,
and the Packers. Not that it matters
in the
really
Packers,
anymore.
but yeah, but they're all discombobulated because of the
Yeah,
firing of
the
their head
Redskins
coach.
are playing the Eagles tomorrow, so one of those teams is going to lose. Um, so yeah, it's not the end of the world. I think before this stretch of games, is 4 games where they played the Bears, Packers, Patriots, and Seahawks. I think
Hmm.
we both agreed that going 2-2 in this stretch is probably what what would be like the worst case scenario for it, them to still come out and be in the playoffs. And right now they're 1-2, and they have the opportunity to win to next week against Seattle. Seattle's not, the Seattle of old. They're not amazing. They killed the 49ers today, but everyone's doing that this year.
Yeah,
Um, it's going to be a tough game, but they have to run the ball. Like,
they have to run the ball, and I think it's also fair to like. I don't think we can bury the division as a
no,
possibility yet either. So like to think that the season's over is crazy. But you're totally right. I mean, it's when they play good teams they just aren't running the ball enough. And
no.
maybe is that a play calling thing? I don't know. But like it's obvious that there's not we've said it so much, I feel so redundant, but they become so one dimensional so quickly. And it just takes all of their options away. And then when you're playing a team like New England and they already are not going to allow you to throw to Thielen, I mean, you're done. There literally is no offense for this
Yeah,
team
Dick
when that's
Willis
what
clearly
happens.
wasn't 100%. And yet Robinson's your only other wide receiver threat, and because
That
Treadwell's not giving you anything. So
No, not really. He's really not. What do you think about as a performance? Kind of, I guess, like shifting gears a little bit. What did you think of Kirk Cousins' performance today? Like, was this because I see
He had a lot
a
of
lot of hate?
they dropped a lot of passes.
Yeah,
Thielen had some uncharacteristic, drops. There,
yeah,
Cousins put the ball a bunch of times where he should have, and that throw to Thielen where he dove and missed that. Thielen makes those
hmm
catches. Whatever the throw wasn't exactly perfect, but it was where he could get the ball and the defenders couldn't. That's the kind
yeah.
of throw you want to make. The throw to Robinson in the end zone, that was where it
That
should
was
have
the
been.
one. That
Throw
was
to,
the one that
even
stuck
the
out to
throw,
me.
yeah, even the throw to Thielen in the end zone, that was where it should have been. So he was putting the ball where it should have been. Those two interceptions or whatever at the end of the game, that was just him trying to probably do too much. I don't put
Yeah,
that on his shoulders. But the Vikings, they didn't make plays today. They didn't make the catches they usually make. I don't think it was anything that the Patriots defense did better or anything. I wasn't really blown away with their performance.
no,
Um,
and in fact, I would maybe even go so far as to say that the Patriots gave him like every opportunity.
oh
Like Tom
yeah,
Brady gave you an interception, and you couldn't
yeah,
manage to like do anything with it. I mean, there
yeah.
were multiple opportunities for the offense and the team itself to totally shift gears and totally, there was an opportunity for a momentum shift multiple times, and they never took it. And
I
it
think
was a comfortable
the
win, I
thing
would
I
say.
might most get frustrated with Cousins though is when they're down by a bunch and he just decides to throw over the middle for like a 5 yard pass instead of either looking downfield or
Yeah.
throwing, at least trying to throw it. And if it's incomplete, then the clock stops. But if you throw 5 yards over the middle of the field, then you not only gain a little amount of yards, but you also probably lose like 30 seconds off the clock because the Vikings aren't that great, in
Yeah, man.
hurry up
Their
situations.
time no, their time management is really goofy. And then what's strange to
It
me
was good at the
is
end of the first half, though. They had a good drive.
that's true.
That was like
Yes.
their
But
best 2 minute drive of the year.
how many times have we said that though? Why are they so okay with their 2 minute stuff when they start hurrying up, when they show
Yeah.
a little bit of urgency at the end of the half? It seems like they can move the ball.
Well,
And then you're
because
down 2 scores, there's 10 minutes left. And it's apparent to everybody watching and everybody in the stadium that you need to get your butt in gear because you're down 2 scores and you haven't really been able to move the ball. And they take their time, they're huddling up. I understand there's 10 minutes left, but like show a little bit of urgency,
there's 10 minutes left,
like
but you're down 14 points.
that's what I'm
You
saying.
got to
And you've
score.
been unable to move the ball all
Against, yeah,
day.
against the Patriots, who are smart and they're gonna run the clock down as much as possible when they get the ball.
Yeah, man. I just, there's something, it just feels like everything is a step late. It's like they run the
Yeah,
ball, but they do it down after they should. It's they hurry up, but it's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes after they should have. I don't know. It's so hard and frustrating from a fan perspective because it feels like they're so close. They're so close to winning some of these games. It feels like they're just a couple of mistakes, a couple of tweaks away from
I would
being a
put
really, really good team.
I would put a bunch of this loss though on defense in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened on those two scoring drives, but I mean, at the same time, they were playing what Marcus Sherrills out there
That's what I was
for
going to say. We
4 minutes.
haven't even talked about their injuries in the secondary, which is brutal. And for what they were playing, and you said it just then, but like that was Marcus Sherrills, Holton Hill, and
Yeah, up
Mackenzie
until
Alexander for
late
the majority of the
late in
game.
the third quarter, they were holding their own, and then Patriots and Brady were just like, no, we're just gonna shred you guys up to pieces.
Yeah, there was one drive in the fourth quarter where it was like you blink your eyes and they were in the end zone, and I
That
think it was,
was when they went ahead, right?
yeah,
Where
it
I
was
thought that
just
too. I felt like sometimes when you drive somewhere and like you like forget
yeah,
like the whole trip and you're like, I don't even know how
totally.
I got here. That's
Yes.
what it felt like when they
That's it.
scored. I was like,
That was
what?
exactly right. Yeah, they were kicking the extra point, and I was like, didn't we just have the ball? What just
I was like,
happened?
what the? Yeah, that's what it
I was
felt like. I'm like,
celebrating.
cause I've driven places, been like, I don't remember any of that trip that got
Dude,
me
that's
here.
that's like the perfect analogy where you're parking and you're like, I don't remember
Nope.
how we
Just
got here.
off in
We're
La La
here,
Land.
but
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
It
man.
just wasn't. Yeah, they lost what Trey Wayne's in the middle early
Mhm.
in the game to
Rhodes
concussion.
was obviously never like all the way there.
No,
He
no, I don't.
didn't look
I
100%.
think they probably only played him because they didn't really have many other options.
No, they don't have
They
many
didn't
other
even. I
options.
think Zimmer said after the game they alternated him in series, so he didn't even play like most of the game. But Trey Waynes, that'll be something to keep an eye on for next week. I think it's his second concussion this year, so it's not good to have two concussions in one
No,
game.
it's concerning. Definitely concerning. I would agree with that. Yeah, man. I mean, all things considered on the defensive end, with all those injuries and all those issues, they still played pretty darn well and held the Patriots and Tom Brady to a fairly
Yeah,
pedestrian number, I guess
they
is the
shut
term I'll
Gronk
use.
down.
Yeah, he doesn't look right either, though. He looks like he's all banged up and hurt.
They
But yeah.
they pretty much.
I mean, everybody is right now.
Yeah,
But
they pretty much shut Josh Gordon down, except for those last couple drives. I think it was
yeah, it just feels like if you put yourself from the perspective of a team having to play the Vikings, like what are you thinking going in and game planning? It's like
they're gonna pass a lot.
Well, they're going to pass a lot, and if we can prevent them from scoring 20 points, I mean, they just don't do enough. Where, like, at any point, do you think New England felt threatened, from no, not even
As soon as they
close.
got that opening drive, first touchdown, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be very tough to beat the Patriots. The Vikings needed to jump out to a lead first if they were gonna come out of there with a win, and they weren't able to do that.
No, they weren't. I will say this though: there was a stretch when they scored at the end of the first half. Got to stop at the beginning of the third quarter. I thought to myself, if they can score some points here, and it wouldn't even have had to have been on that drive, but just keeping it within 2 scores for a stretch there, I think would have done a lot of good. But what do you do? I don't know. You had this as an L originally, didn't you? On the when we predicted at the beginning of the season. Me too. I
At the
mean,
beginning of the season, yeah. I don't think I did it last week, but
yeah.
are you worried about Mr. Bailey?
Dude, what do you even say about the kicking game anymore?
Was that on him or was that on the holder just being like, oh yeah, I have to go out there?
Well, first things first. If you're the punter and the holder and you're not aware that you're going to need to be out there on 4th down, you're the punter and the holder. There is not a 4th down that you're not out there.
Yep.
Where were you?
So, but
that was
you nailed that other field goal in the rain.
Yeah, so, dude. I don't know. And also, if you're a professional kicker and your holder being a little bit late throws you off enough to miss, however
kickers are weird.
Long that, God, I'm so over the kicker thing right now. For real,
go for 4th down. You're not gonna get any points anyways. So.
That's what I don't mean this to be hyperbolic or exaggerate. I'm not exaggerating. I seriously think they should consider never kicking field goals again. It's pointless. Honest to God. And for real, think about how much better the offense would be if you were consciously thinking we have actually 4 downs to do this, not 3 downs to do it, and then punt or whatever.
Yep.
I think it would be good for him. I think it's something Mike Zimmer should consider. Actual talk. Should Mike Prefer lose his job though? I mean, at this point, it's crazy. Something has to change here.
Yeah, you have to look at the whole special teams for that aspect. I mean, I feel like because their coverage is pretty good.
Do you though? Do you? Because look at
I mean,
but look, if you're a head coach in the NFL and your offense, your quarterback is absolute garbage. If your quarterback cannot do the right thing, you get fired.
Would it be the worst thing in the world for them to make a change? No. Do I think they will? Probably not.
No. Here's what happens though: is they make a change, and then the special teams are garbage. Punts get blocked. They lose games that way instead. I mean, it's the Vikings, so we should you just take a deep breath and know. And honestly, we should be thankful because it's not a surprise anymore. No. So it doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't cut as deep. Did that hurt me when he missed that field goal today? Absolutely not, because I've been thinking for 45 seconds, God, he's going to miss this thing. It's just unbelievable.
Sucks. And every time their punters back there, I'm always like, please don't get blocked. Please don't get blocked.
Man. And, to, I guess, elaborate a little bit more on the Prefer thing, you talk about the coverage, you talk about the other. I don't remember a year where I held my breath more on punts and punt returns too.
Mm-hmm.
Punt returns though with Sherrills, I should give some credit. I usually am not that worried because he won't screw that up. I don't worry about Marcus Sherrills'
He doesn't
return.
return anything.
That's what something to discuss. I think that's a fair point to discuss. He doesn't. If he returns it, he takes 4 steps forward and runs out of bounds, which is, I guess, consistent, and you
Whatever,
can count on that.
fumble it, I guess.
But boy, oh boy, it's hitting a point now. And here's what I think we have to be careful as Vikings fans is we've had a little bit of sustained success here from the team. We are now going to enter that weird zone of we're frustrated because we can't make the step forward, the big leap into winning the big game, and et cetera, et cetera. But we have to remember that the alternative is Green Bay right now. Yeah, looking for a new coach, no idea what's going on, no offensive identity, which I guess is not that different, but you get what I'm saying. I feel like it's not time to take steps back. I think they can still build, and whether it's not this year, they still have a good core.
Yeah, because you can look at the Packers and be like, they have like a Hall of Fame quarterback, and look what they're doing. Not a whole lot, because you need the whole team to perform. So there's going to be people. There's definitely going to be people that come out of this game and be like, "Oh, Cousins, he isn't worth the money. Why do they even have him?" And just the same arguments that
I was on the Vikings territory message board thing today, and one of the guys was Wave Cousins, and he called him a $28 million bounce pass, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if he was super serious or not, but it made me laugh either way.
Probably.
Shout out to that dude for hanging out on the chat line, though.
So realistically, after this loss, the Vikings probably have to win probably 3 of their final 4 games. That's not going to be easy because
no, it's not.
Especially next week is iffy. If they lose next week, they got to win the rest of their games to probably get in the playoffs because they probably need at least 9 wins to go 9-6-1. To get a spot in the playoffs and then play every game on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
I think honestly, even if this team makes the playoffs, they might sneak 1 win, but there's no way they're like legit contenders here. I just don't have an offense that I can trust.
You never know what can happen. It's just got to get in.
Yeah, what does PA say? A chip, a chair, and a chance, or whatever?
I don't know, but
that's what
yeah, sure. I don't listen to the station. Apparently, I'm one of the few that doesn't, because it's the number 1 radio station in the country, but it's also the number 1 radio station in the country.
Hey man, radio's the bomb.
Oh yeah, booming industry right now. But yeah, they probably have to win 3 games. So they got this at the Seahawks, home for the Dolphins, away for the Lions, and home for the Bears, which could be for the division.
It's not insane to think that they could win all of those games. They very well could win all of those games.
But they got to figure something out. Zimmer's got to put like his foot down and be like, "Listen, dude, you got to run the ball. I don't care how poorly the offense is playing. You have to run the ball more."
See, and that's what I think is the most concerning about this team right now is that they could very well win those games, but there's such a disconnect between what they're doing. They really have no offensive identity yet, and they have to win 3 out of 4 of these last games to get into the playoffs. Good bleeping luck with that,
but
man.
He's a head coaching candidate, so.
But yeah, it's at this point, do you think he'd still be a head coach if he got fired and they gave it to Stefanski?
When
he'd still get a job?
When Aikman said that, I was like, you clearly haven't been watching any of the Vikings games this year. Besides, he probably is referencing from what they did in the Rams game when they put up 31 points, because that was the last game Aikman did for.
Though. But if you think back to what did we see that he did in Philadelphia, where it was like, oh man, that's super high quality. Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You didn't see anything. So even to assume that he was going to be the bomb right out of, I had reservations about this, Adam. I had reservations right when they hired this dude. I was like, why are we all just assuming that he's going to be the best?
You should have. And rightfully
he sucked in Cleveland. And
whatever. I saw Cliff Kingsbury was fired this week, and I was like, oh, that'd be great if I feel like the Vikings, they got him, That would be like a
Don't
Rams kind
even.
of offense. But then I saw
Don't tease me with that. Don't tease me with
well, I
that.
saw that the Rams are trying to pick him up to add him to their staff, and I'm like, what? You can't have everybody. Like, come on.
And so I was gonna say, leave some for the rest of us, you guys. Come on.
So,
That would be incredible. I would love that so
but
much.
it's like it reminds me kind of how the Falcons offense is these days, where like they have
Mm-hmm.
so many weapons,
So
but
many.
they can't do anything because they're just not calling the right plays.
How much of the
I know players have to execute and stuff, but when you're
yeah
calling, a run when you're down 14 points with I know I just said they should run the ball more, but when you're calling a regular
it's
regular
different for the
run, you're down 14 with like 8 minutes to go. Come on, what are you doing?
yeah, man. Do you how much what percentage of the blame do you place on offensive line as a like
Not this game.
reason for the play calling though? Because like play calling is an
Mm,
issue. I agree with that. But do you think that they're kind of painted themselves into a corner
they
with
averaged
the
over 7 yards a carry tonight. You can't put any of that on the offensive line tonight, but I mean overall
yeah, I would agree
maybe.
with that.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what the excuse was for tonight. Just ignoring. And Dalvin Cook looked ridiculous. Like he gained positive yards. I feel like on every time he touched the ball.
Yeah, I don't think he went backwards ever.
And the one time like he had the chance to go backwards, he got out of the, got loose or whatever and got back to the line of scrimmage. So I don't know what the Vikings have to do running the ball wise to run the ball more. Like what more do they have to prove to do that? Because they had a chance. It was 10-10. They stopped the Patriots, got the ball back. Nothing.
Nothing.
And then just like that, it was 24-10.
Yeah.
Really just
And then you open your eyes again and that's 2 scores and all of a sudden there's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
yeah.
Because like really nothing happened basically that whole time.
Like just take out the 2 drives that were like the end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter, and like the Vikings played pretty well. But
yeah.
But yeah,
I know we don't like to do that, like for especially like rushing yards. It's like, well, if you take the one big one away, that's a huge part of Adrian Peterson's rushing yards for that game. Or Dalvin Cook the other week when he had the 70-some yarder. But is it fair to look at this offense and say if you take 1 or 2 drives away, this offense looks like garbage? Or if you take 1 or 2 drives away, this offense looks like it's okay.
It's mostly the drives that are either at the end of halves or end of games, where they like. It seems like they pile up most of their yards, or they get a bunch of points.
Yeah.
And
they do it well enough. Yeah, and they do it well enough, or pile on the yards enough at the end where like you look at Kirk Cousins' stats and like
but they're going
to look fine.
Yeah, most of the time in those situations they're going against the defense is just trying to stop you from scoring. They're not trying to prevent you from gaining yards. So they're going to give you those plays in front and stuff like that. So
yeah, man, it's crazy, but it's been like 18 years since they've beaten the Patriots, and that doesn't feel like that's going to change anytime soon. I don't know when they play them next, but good God,
4 years, unless they meet in the Super Bowl before then.
That would be cool. Do you think the Vikings could win that game on a neutral field for the Super Bowl?
I think if they had 2 weeks to prepare, I think it would be a much different game. Do I think it'll happen this year? No.
Hard to say that they're going to get to the Super Bowl.
I would love to see, a grudge match, between Bill Belichick and Adam Thielen again.
Oh yeah, that was dope. We're going to talk about that on the podcast tomorrow, at length. Also, get ready for a big time breakdown of that celebration early in the game.
It's horrible. That was definitely one of their worst.
I'm going to save my opinion on it. We're going to have a whole big presentation tomorrow. I might do a sounder right now, Adam. I might record like a new bit for it. So,
oh man.
I mean, we talk about the celebrations a lot, so I figure we might as well have something cool to, play beforehand. So.
Okay. I don't know what they were doing. Whether it was like monkey in the middle or hot potato, or I don't know. But we can talk.
I can't get started on it. I won't stop. I'll go for another half hour. I will go on what to call that stupid game and how. See, I almost did it. I almost did it just then, Adam. I almost did it just then.
All right. Well, we will talk more tomorrow then. more in depth.
More in depth.
Maybe
Yep.
have an update on Trey Waynes. Probably not.
Hopefully, probably
Zimmer's going
not.
to be like, he'll play, and then he
Yeah,
might.
he's gonna be very, very minor.
Yep.
So
Hey, you know what?
nothing to worry about.
You know what though? Guess
Yeah,
who was right about Xavier Rhodes? Not ripping his hamstring in half like all those Twitter doctors said. Right
yeah, it
after
was
the
torn off the bone. I remember.
So yeah, don't trust the guys. Don't trust those Twitter doctors that overprescribe Junior Seau
I
medications.
was, yeah, I was gonna say, have you read the Deadspin article on
Oh yeah,
that one
yeah. He's from San
particular?
he's from San Diego.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, that's right. Yeah,
I know all
Doy,
that. I know all about it.
Doy. Cool. Well, good talk. That was therapeutic. That was good. I needed that to get
Yeah,
that
it's
out of my
always good
system.
to.
Yes.
Seems to be a lot more therapeutic this year than last year, but Oh,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I don't think the team from last year probably would have won this game in New England.
I don't think so either. No.
So I don't think it's that disappointing of a loss. I think it sucks still because it could
Yeah.
have been like a game where they made a statement, been like, we're back, we can contend for the NFC, but I don't think so
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
It's kind of hard to believe that at this point. I'm still gonna hold out a little bit of hope just because I just don't know what you like. The Vikings players also know that they were going to New England and playing Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and I mean that's a difficult game to win. And then half of your secondary goes out. It might be fair to assume that the Vikings were maybe like, we'll get them next week.
Yeah,
This is a tough one to win. We got big games coming up later.
I think Holton Hill did pretty decent. So
Yeah, that's so too. Harris is killing it too, by the way.
yeah.
All right, we'll talk more in depth tomorrow. Otherwise we're gonna go for an hour and a half trying to go in depth. So
Maybe some other time.
yeah. All right. See you tomorrow, bud.
Skull.
Skull Vikes.